see that like they say I'm shining right. Hey, this song here from God, ain't no sound bite. And if it wasn't from God, it wouldn't even sound right. I'd probably be a mess, caught it up in my stress. Man, I'd be a wreck. Thank God I'm way too blessed for that. Yeah. I ain't just talking about wealth, can't do it by myself. Man, it keep me kept, as if this little light of mine. Promise I'm gonna let it shine, I'ma let it shine. As it is, little light of mine. Promise I'm gonna let it shine, I'ma let it shine. Hey, shine your light on me, shine it so the whole wide world could see. You're the light, 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 you're the light. Shine your light on me, shine it so the whole, yeah. You're the light, you're the light, you're the light, you're the light, you're the light. Shine your light on me, shine it so.
Well, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Lady J.
And it's your girl, LuvLuv. And this is the Mind His Business Show.
100.3 FM, Gospel Music Omaha. I see the people already coming in on the live. Hello to you all. If you're not following us on social media, follow us on, I'm going to run you down a whole bunch of our social medias real quick. At Gospel Music Omaha is the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
At Mind His Business is this show specifically. At, what is your handle? The Barber Beast on Instagram?
No.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a different one.
LuvLuv, yeah. The Barber Beast. I know you got to change the name, but that's where you at right now.
Oh, okay.
And you can find me on Facebook. Well, actually, you can find me on all socials at Jackie Gines, but I don't spell it the traditional way. It's JACQUIE.
And I don't want to be a beast no more.
Yeah, but you
Nor
are
do
a
I
beast
want to
with
be.
the haircuts.
Nor do
though.
I want to be a beast of burden either.
So my name is Jackie Gines at Jackie Gines. So JACQUIE.
And mine's just gonna be LuvLuv.
GINES. So I think you're going to rebrand for One LuvLuv, ONELUV, since you're Omaha, Nebraska's LuvLuv. I think that's what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so you can find my website at JackieGines.com. So that's JACQUIEGINES.com. And I think we're going to rebrand you. I have OneLuvLuv.com. I've also got LuvLuv.org, which is where I had your stuff previously.
You found it?
Well, I like LuvLuv.org better because it's shorter.
Yeah, me too.
So I don't know. I could make a website with your government name too, but
Please
that's
don't.
a little long.
Nobody's gonna want to spell that.
That's a little bit long.
It's
But-
Regalanda. Nobody's. They're gonna be like, what? Rega who?
So, at any rate, if you are looking for us online, I'm going to run it down one more time. At Gospel Music Omaha is everything related to the radio station. At Mind His Business is everything related to this show and this podcast. And we're doing great. We found a podcast provider, and I'm in process of interviewing for a podcast engineer to help us to actually get all of these 10 seasons of episodes uploaded so you can have them all. We also are hiring a social media manager, a video editor, and a web designer, or web developer, I should say, to handle all the technical things. So we're in process of bringing new staff on board because we are expanding. God says that He will give you so much abundance that you won't have room to contain it. And I kind of feel that way because I've been doing a declutter. You know, at the end of the year, instead of doing a New Year's resolution, I decided to do a declutter. I can't even talk. A declutter resolution, where instead of deciding what I was going to do in the new year, I decided what I was going to leave behind in the old year. And so that's been a continual process of going through each room and just saying, do I need this? Does it still make me happy? Does it bring me joy? To borrow a phrase from Marie Kondo, she's the person that people go to when they want to figure out how to declutter, and so there's a lot of things that it actually made me sad to go through some of the decluttering process, because there were so many things that I had good intentions about, or I had plans for, and then those plans never happened for whatever reason. Either I wasn't disciplined enough, I didn't follow through, or life changed, or things got in the way, or just things aren't the same scenario. And I had some emotions going through that. And maybe you got a closet in your house, or a room, or maybe even a relationship. You need to get the clutter out and get rid of that relationship. Maybe it ain't serving you anymore. But at any rate, this is probably a good topic, because a lot of times when we move into new life with Christ, that doesn't mean your old life goes away. And this is important to understand. And there's a scripture passage that I'm going to pull up that will illustrate my point. And it's the story of Lazarus. And this is in the book of John. I believe it's John. Did you know the shortest verse in the Bible only has 2 words, and those 2 words were Jesus wept? That's John 11:35. And I think that's a good place for us to be today. And we're going to talk a bit about decluttering and some of the emotional things that come along with that, because sometimes we hold on to a lot of things that we shouldn't hold on to for a lot of different reasons that I'll get into. But let me set the stage with this passage here, and then we'll talk about what it means when you're changing seasons and the emotions that come along with that. So this is John chapter 11, and if you are watching this on a video platform, I'm hoping that the passage will show up on your screen here. It says in John 11, "Now a certain man was sick. His name was Lazarus, from Bethany, of the village of Mary and her sister Martha." I'm reading this from the World English Bible for ease of conversation, so I don't have to translate a lot of the these and thous in the King James. All right, so this guy was sick. His name was Lazarus, and he was in this village of Mary and her sister Martha. So it was that Mary who had anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. So in another passage, we see that Mary was anointing Jesus Christ, and that was a very powerful thing, which we're not going to get into what all of that meant. But what this means is that Jesus knew Lazarus. They had at least somewhat of a relationship, because Mary was close enough to Jesus to literally be able to touch him, anoint him. Her sister Martha was there. We see in the passage that Martha was preparing a meal for Jesus and the disciples while Mary was ministering. And Lazarus is their brother. So they all knew who Jesus was, and Jesus knew who Lazarus was. So this isn't just some random guy that we're talking about here. This is someone that had a relationship with Jesus. And that's going to matter later on as we get down further into the passage. So the sisters, now remember, Lazarus is sick, don't forget. The sisters therefore sent to him, saying, "Lord, behold, he for whom you have great affection is sick." So they went and told Jesus, we know that Lazarus is he's your guy. He's your bro, and he's sick right now. We want to let you know. It would be like if your friend called you, someone from your friend's family called you, and they said, "Yo, your childhood best friend, the one that you've been thick as thieves with since forever, they sick." Now, what would be your immediate reaction to that? What do you think, LuvLuv? What would be your immediate reaction?
No, it's usually like a mother or something,
right?
That says, "Hey, your best friend,
right,
is down, man down."
Right.
And they almost man down to where they're about to die.
Right. So immediately you're going to have some emotions. Mm-hmm. You're going to have some emotions about the fact that something that you love or someone you love is sick. Mm-hmm. So immediately there's going to be some emotion attached to that. And we're going to see that as we go along. But when Jesus heard it, he said, "This sickness is not to death, but for the glory of God, that God's Son may be glorified by it.
How did he discern that?
So now I want you to, in your imagination, imagine that your season of life, for which maybe you have clothes in your closet because you were planning on losing weight, and you held on to them outfits saying, well, you know, when I lose this 30 pounds, I'm going to be able to put this outfit on. And that same outfit has been in your closet for so long that it is out of style. I got some clothes like that. That's why I know. So that's like a picture of Lazarus for me, is looking at these clothes in this closet saying, now you know you wasn't about to lose that weight because you ain't got up on the treadmill, went to the gym the first. And it's just staring there, creating a feeling in you because it reminds you that that part of your life is not where you want it to be. So we're using Lazarus as a metaphor for the things that are in our lives that God may want us to, okay, we got to do something about it, but we're tied up with emotion about the thing, and it causes us sometimes to hold on to things longer than we should. So let's continue to the story so we can use it as our analogy for today. So he says, when Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, he said, well, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that God's Son may be glorified by it. So no matter what has gone on in your life, God is going to use it all for his glory. The good, the bad, the mistakes, the failures, all of it is going to be used for his glory. And if you're not dead yet, it's just like this sickness is not unto death. It's not dead. You're not dead. As long as you're still living, you have another opportunity to live a life according to God's will and purpose. So he continues on. In verse 5, it says, now Jesus loved Martha and her sister, that's Mary, and Lazarus. So he loved them. So the writer of John, which is John, went out of his way to remind us that Jesus had a great level of care. Somebody is saying hi back. He had a great amount of care and love for these three individuals in particular. Now, when therefore he heard that Lazarus was sick, Jesus stayed 2 days in the place where he was, which is kind of perplexing, because if somebody called me and say, LuvLuv sick, I'm on the next plane. I'm not waiting 2 extra days. I'm not saying, well, I'll get there on the weekend when I get done with work. No, I'm on the next plane. Somebody called me and they say, you sick? I'm like, Jackie. If somebody calls me and says you sick, I'm there.
She'd be like, she not usually down. I better go.
So this is a little perplexing here that Jesus knew that Lazarus was sick, but he said, this sickness is not to the death, but for the glory of God. And he stayed where he was for 2 extra days. So at first you might think that he didn't care, but when you see later on what happens, remember, Jesus knows things we don't know because he is God wrapped in human flesh. So he heard that he was sick. He stayed 2 days in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, okay, let's go into Judea again. The disciples told him, Rabbi, the Jews were just trying to stone you, and you're going to go there again? Jesus answered, aren't there 12 hours of daylight? If a man walks in the day, he doesn't stumble because he sees the light of this world. But if a man walks in the night, he stumbles because the light isn't in him. He said these things, and after that he said to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. That means he died. But I am going so that I may awake him out of sleep.
So he knew, he knew. Go ahead.
He knew. No, go for it.
No, you go for it.
You already own it.
Yeah, he knew he was gone.
Yeah. Jesus knew that Lazarus was going to die in the flesh.
He was going to sleep.
He already knew that. That's why he waited. That's why he waited for 2 extra days, because he knew that Lazarus was on his way out, and he had a plan because he wanted to demonstrate God's glory. So he said, okay, now we're ready to go because Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I'm going so that I may awake him out of the sleep. In other words, I'm going to raise him up from the dead. Now, I don't know about you, but none of the prophets that I know that's walking around here claiming to be prophets, and I'm talking about the Joseph Smiths and the Muhammads and and the other false prophets in this world, none of them know in advance somebody's going to die, wait for them to die, tell you that they're dead, even though they're not even there in the same city with no phones. Because remember, they didn't have no phones back then. They didn't have mail. He was in a completely different town. So there's no way he would have known unless the Holy Spirit had told him. And then go and raise him from the dead.
Come on here.
So Jesus is so awesome. It's all right. So let's carry this story on. So the disciples therefore said, well, Lord, if he's falling asleep, he will recover. So they're thinking he's talking about, oh, he's just sleeping in bed. Now, Jesus had spoken of his death, but they thought that he spoke of taking rest and sleep. This is how much they weren't really tracking what he was getting at. He's steady telling them, I'm about to raise him from the dead. And they're just thinking, oh, well, maybe he just laid up in the bed. So Jesus said to them plainly then, Lazarus is dead. Like he had to spell it out for him. I'm not just saying that he's asleep. He's not in a coma. He's not unconscious. Lazarus is dead. I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, so that you may believe. That's deep. I'm glad I wasn't there. Because now you're going to really know who I am. So he said, I'm glad for your sakes I was not there so that you may believe. Nevertheless, let's go to him. John 11:16. Thomas, therefore, who is also called Didymus, said to his fellow disciples, well, let's go too so that we can die with him. Thomas was such a enthusiastic person. He pretty much didn't have any filter. He just said whatever was on his mind. If he didn't believe you, he told you he didn't believe you. He's basically saying, look, well, if Jesus is going to raise Lazarus from the dead, well, let's go die in too so Jesus can raise us up from the dead too. That seemed like that'd be pretty cool. You know, there's always one in your friend group that's like that. You know that, right? It's always one. Man, let's go lean over the edge of that banister there and see what happens. Let's go wave down at the beach. No. It's always that one that want to just rush into stuff. And so in verse 17, so when Jesus came, he found that he, meaning Lazarus, had been in the tomb for 4 days already. So notice the timeline.
When they put you in the tomb. Yeah, they done had the service.
They had the repast. They had the chicken. They had the fried chicken.
Macaroni and cheese.
They had the obituary. They had all that. But notice the timeline. 2 days before he died, he had gotten word that Lazarus was sick. And by the time he waited 2 days, and then when he got there, he had been in the tomb for 4 days. So this is like all happening over the span of a week. Because remember, they didn't have cars.
They didn't have embalming fluid.
They didn't have any of that.
No.
It's significant that he was in the tomb for 4 days. And I'll explain why in a moment. But I love what you said about they didn't have embalming fluid. Nowadays, when someone passes in modern time, if you know anything about it, they put this special embalming fluid. They literally pump it into your veins, and it behaves as a preservative so that the body doesn't decompose too quickly, so that they can display it in the coffin, in the casket, for the funeral, etc. But if you did not, and I'm sorry, I'm swatting at a gnat here, but before they had embalming fluid, you did not have a lot of time to get that body in the ground, because anything decomposes when it dies. If you've ever seen something pass away, it doesn't take long for the flies to get it, the gnats, the air, the elements. It begins to smell. It begins to look rotten. Whether it's a piece of fruit that's on your counter, or whether it's an animal, or whether it's a human being, our bodies literally do what the Bible says: dust to dust. We came from dust. We return back. Physically to that state. So they would, back then in ancient days, they would wrap the body in, basically kind of like mummifying it. So they would wrap it in linen cloth.
Well, it with spices.
And then they would put spices around it to keep the smell down.
They would put it inside with the body, the spices.
So they would put these spices in there, and then they would wrap the body in cloth, like almost like a mummy, so that it would keep the odor down, because it would decompose fairly quickly, and then they would get it into the tomb. The second reason it's important to note that he had been in the tomb for 4 days is because ancient Hebrew culture believed that if you were dead for 3 days, that your soul was somehow walking around, still walking around, but by the 4th day, death was considered completely, there ain't no coming back. So maybe if you were in a coma for a couple of days, you might wake up. But after that 3rd day, by the time you got to the 4th day, in ancient Hebrew culture, that was when you were officially, they dead for sure. There was no mistaking or thinking that maybe he wasn't really dead. No, he was really dead. He had been in the tomb for 4 days. That means that for 4 days he was there. There was no disputing the fact that he was dead. He was wrapped in grave clothes. He had the spices on him, the whole nine. So he was dead. And so in verse 18, now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 15 stadia away, and many of the Jews had joined the women around Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. Then when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, but Mary stayed in the house.
Ooh, she was fired up. Wasn't she fired up?
Well, notice how different people handle grief differently, and we should be
do.
sensitive to people when they have lost something, when they've gone through a loss.
Right.
And I don't just only mean death. I mean divorce. I mean tragedy.
Right.
I mean a health challenge that has completely changed their life, like a stroke or
Death
a car
or
accident.
relationship, yes.
A breakup.
Yep.
Their child has moved out of the house and now they're an empty nester.
Right.
So grief can be for many different reasons, but notice how Martha, she wanted to be consoled. So she wanted to have people around, because it says here in verse 20, she went out and met with Jesus, but Mary stayed in the house. Now, some people, they need more solitude to kind of work through their grief privately and internally. Other people, they want that comfort and consolation around them. So it's important to be sensitive to people, to get a gauge of how they want to grieve. And if you're not sure how they want to grieve, just ask, do you want some company? Do you not want to be alone? Or would you rather have some space? Should we give you your space? Just be sensitive to people when they are going through a drastic change in life, whether it's a death or a major change like that.
Yeah, I used to, it's like you and me. I used to, I remember I used to cry, help me. I said, help me. Put your arm around me. Come on. Hit harder. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. And then now it's like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Oh, what happened? Yes, I'm sad, but I got to keep moving. So different people, but that's because I've been going through the change, y'all. Okay, but saying that, what I'm trying to say is different people do grieve differently. Some people need that comfort, and in some people it's like, I need to be alone in my cave. I need to be by myself so I can process all of this stuff, because you're a lot like that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Leave her alone, let her think for a little bit, and in a day or two she'll come out.
Well, some people are very expressive about their grief. They want to be on social media and tell everybody what happened and get all of the the hearts and the likes and the little carry emojis. And then, like me, when I'm going through, I ain't posting nothing. Nobody's gonna know.
Leave me alone.
So back to verse 20. So, of course, Martha went out to talk to Jesus, but Mary stayed in the house. Therefore, Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you'd have been here, my brother wouldn't have died. So she's a little bit salty, because she's like, well, I went through all the trouble to tell you he was sick. You didn't show when you said you was coming, and now he dead. And if you'd have been here, I know you had the ability to heal him. So she's in her feelings about it. She in her feelings a little bit about this.
Yeah, she hot.
And that's another reaction that people have when they're grieving. They're looking for someone to blame. They're upset. They're angry. They need to point that or direct that anger somewhere. And so that's kind of what's going on here. And she continues to say, even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Whoa. So let's look at that scenario. Well, Jesus, if you had been here, he wouldn't have died. Number one, she had the faith to know that Jesus had the ability to heal him. Number two, even now that he's dead, I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. So even though he was dead, that did not deter her faith. Lord Jesus, may I have that level of faith that no matter what I'm facing, no matter how bad it looks or how final it seems, may I have that kind of faith in you. That
I got you.
Whatever you ask of God, God will give you. So Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. So John 11:24, Martha said to him, I know that he'll rise again in the resurrection at the last day. So she's not even tracking, just like the disciples weren't tracking that Jesus was going to raise him from the dead. She's not tracking that either. She's like, well, yeah, I know he's going to raise up at resurrection day, and you're going to be involved with that. So she's got faith, but she's not thinking that he's talking about right now he's going to raise him up. Whoa. So how many times have we read verses in the scripture and we say we believe it, but we don't really believe it? This is kind of what's going on. These are the folks that were with Jesus. They've seen the miracles. They've seen him heal people. They've seen him produce water, turn water to wine. They've seen him turn loaves and fishes to feed thousands of people. But for some reason, they just weren't clicking that he was capable of raising someone from the dead. It just wasn't there. And maybe there's something in your life right now where you know Jesus is good for a lot of things. He's good for it. But this one particular problem or challenge that you're facing, for some reason, it's just not clicking for you that Jesus can handle this one too.
Right. Come on.
Whatever that is, whether it's financial or some sort of temptation you keep failing with, or whether it's belief about something in the future, something you've been praying for, it's like you believe in him, but only to a certain extent. I'm here to tell you that this passage is a good illustration that believing on him for that specific thing, just like you believe that he can do everything else, he's going to be able to do that thing too, whatever that is, whether that's help you overcome a particular, I feel like a particular temptation, whether it's a addiction or a sexual thing, or maybe giving you the courage to get out of a relationship that is not healthy. Whatever that thing is, just like you have faith that he can do all kind of other things, or just like you have, and this one's even worse, I believe that God would do it for that person, but I don't believe he would do it for me. Now, I have that. That's a challenge that I have from time to time. Well, I can believe for you. I believe that Jesus is going to bless you with health, and he's going to bless you with finances, and he's going to bless you with meeting your needs and helping you overcome your problems. But then when I'm thinking about it for myself, all of a sudden it's like, but will he really help me? I mean, I know he'll help all of them, but does he really care about me enough to help me in this area? And sometimes, tying it back to our initial theme of decluttering, this is why we hold on to things sometimes, because we're not convinced that God has something better on the other side of that thing.
Come on. Say
And
it.
so we keep holding on to the old things that are no longer serving us. I'm not talking about things like, okay, you're preparing your savings account for your retirement. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about things you're holding on to from a season in your life that is no longer serving you. But you haven't yet stepped into the faith that Jesus can lead you into the next season, and he's got a new, or shall we say, resurrected way of viewing your situation or your life or this next stage or this next season. We keep holding on to the old thing either because it's familiar, it's comforting, or we're afraid that God is not really going to bless us. This passage here should be an encouragement to you that, yes, just like he could do all those other miracles, he can raise Lazarus from the dead. And the disciples didn't know it. Martha didn't know it, but Jesus knew it.
Yes, he did.
So let's see what happens. So Martha said to him, well, yeah, I mean, I hear you saying that my brother's going to rise again, and I know he is going to rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Well, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will still live even if he dies. Whoever lives and believes in me will never die.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the I am. He said, I am. Whoa.
John 11:24. Martha said to him, I know that Lazarus will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. I need to pause on that.
I need you to, what? Is he the I am that I am?
The same. He is the one and the same.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he's not just another prophet. The Muslims love to say that, oh, Jesus is just one of the prophets. But Muhammad never walked around saying, I'm the resurrection.
He never even said I am. I am
He
that I
never
am, because
said-
he's not I am.
He
that
never
I
said,
am.
I am the resurrection and the life. He never raised anyone from the dead.
Didn't.
He never claimed that he would be the one to raise people again at the resurrection at the last day. This is literally Jesus saying, I am the resurrection and the life. I'm the one that holds the power of life and death. This is what he's saying. He who believes in me will still live even if he dies. Whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?
Isn't there life and death in the tongue, Jackie?
Indeed.
Come on here, Lady J.
So she said to him, Yes, Lord, I have come to believe that you are the Christ, God's Son, he who comes into the world. I like what she says here. I have come to believe.
Come on.
In other words, maybe I wasn't convinced before, but I am now. And some of us need to come to believe. We've been in church forever, but we go to church because it's the thing to do, or it's our social thing, it's our network, it's our weekly comforting not ritual, that's not the routine. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a comfortable routine. It's just kind of what we do, but we haven't yet really come to believe in this Messiah that literally is the resurrection and the life and has the power to raise people from the dead. The fulfillment of all the prophecies that came before, God literally who took on flesh just to be the perfect sacrifice and mediator between us and a completely perfect and holy God. We need to come to believe that. And sometimes that takes time for us to come to believe. And if you haven't come to believe that yet, it's okay if you haven't come to believe that yet. As long as you are still continuing to be open-minded about it and allow the Holy Spirit to illuminate your heart in that area, because it says that no one can say Jesus is Lord unless the Holy Spirit gives him utterance. So my prayer for you is that the Holy Spirit will continue to move upon your heart to show you what you need to see and know so that you may come to believe. So this is what Martha is saying. She had a certain level of understanding about Jesus, but during this conversation, this is where she says, yes, Lord, I have come to believe that you are the Christ, God's Son, he who comes into the world. So it took her a little bit of time to transition from the head knowledge to the heart knowledge. That's kind of how we say it in church sometimes. You got to take it from your head knowledge down into really knowing it in your heart that this is the case. And we have a lot of people walking around with mental assent. They mentally agree that, sure, yeah, I believe Jesus. I believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus is God. Even unsaved people out there say they believe in Jesus. But that's a head knowledge, because truly if a person has a heart knowledge belief in Jesus, their behaviors will line up with that belief. Not to say that they won't sin anymore. That's not what I'm saying. But you will see evidence or fruit, if you will, when a person is truly convinced that, yes, Jesus really is Lord. He really did die for my sins. He really is the way, the truth, the life, the resurrection. He's it. And you will see some evidence when a person really believes in their heart. So Let's continue on. When she had said this, she went away and called Mary, her sister, secretly, saying, "The teacher is here," referencing Jesus, "and he's calling you." Now, Jesus didn't say nothing about go and get her. But Martha, just like what I just said, when a person truly goes, when they come to believe and they truly have a heart change with all their heart, yeah, I believe it now. I know it. I got it. You will see it evidenced in their behavior. So we know that she was truly convinced, because the first thing she did was tell the person she loved the most, meaning her sister, Mary, "Hey, you got to go talk to him." She didn't have to do that. Jesus, there's nothing here in this passage that says, "Hey, go get Mary. I want to talk to Mary." Martha did that because in her heart she was convinced. So she says, "The teacher is here and he's calling you." When Mary heard this, she arose quickly and went to him. Now, Jesus had not yet come into the village, but he was in the place where Martha met him. So he hadn't even gotten there yet. But Martha heard he was coming and she went out to meet him. So the Jews who were with her in the house and were consoling her, when they saw Mary, that she got up quickly and went out, man, she went out in a hurry. As soon as Martha said that, they followed her, saying, "She's going to the tomb to weep there." Therefore, when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, "Lord, if you would have been here, my brother wouldn't have died." When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews weeping who came with her, he groaned in his spirit and was troubled. And he said, "Where have you laid him?" They told him, "Lord, come and see." Verse 35, Jesus wept. So this is everything that has led up to the shortest verse in the Bible, John 11:35. Jesus wept. Why did he weep? Let's look. In verse 33, when Jesus saw her weeping, she saw all the other Jews that were with her. They were also weeping. That's when he became empathetic and he wept. So he wasn't crying because he was sad about Lazarus. He had already stated that, yeah, he's going to die, but I'm going to raise him up. And he's consistently telling everybody, I'm going to raise Lazarus back up to life so that God's glory will be shown. I am the resurrection and the life. So obviously he's not crying about Lazarus being dead. But when he saw her crying and he saw all the Jews crying, his empathy and his compassion kicked in. And I noticed that as I became older, when I was young, I was tough, man. I was raised in tough stock. You didn't cry in public. You were kind of tough. My grandmother was, oh man, she was as tough as nails. And my father, he was not the most emotionally expressive. My mother was raised in a family with parents who came through the Great Depression. So I mean, I came from some tough stock. So it wasn't really a big thing in our house to cry openly. If you had to cry, you did that in private and on your own. But as I have gotten older and I have become less concerned about what people think about me, I am much more open now to when something moves me emotionally. If I feel a tear welling up, I'll go ahead and let it fly. I won't choke it down. I won't hold it back, because if it has moved me that much emotionally to where I feel like I want to let those tears flow, I let them flow. And I'm seeing Jesus as being a good pattern for that. It's okay if you feel empathy and sympathy or compassion for someone that they're going through something. If it prompts you to be moved emotionally, that is okay. There's nothing wrong with you. We have so much dysfunction in our black communities that we have raised a whole generation of black boys to say, you soft if you cry, you're a sissy, or even worse words. If you cry, that you less than a man. If you cry, you behaving like a little girl. We should not be forcing our sons into this mold where the only emotions they are allowed to express are anger and, well, anger.
Well, I call it depression. Anytime you don't let it out, anytime you don't, you asking to give yourself a heart attack, a stroke, and anything else.
And we wondering why our community, we have so many folks dying of strokes and heart attacks and all manner of stress-related illness. We have to learn that it's okay to release that. Your tears are your pressure valve. They release the pressure. And if you've been wanting to cry, but you don't want people to feel as though you are weak for crying, because that's the message that so many of us have gotten since childhood. Oh, don't be a punk, don't be weak. You know, you ain't supposed to cry. That's a terrible message.
Yeah, you shut up.
Especially to our boys, but
right.
Just in general. Now, we do want to have emotional regulation. In other words, we don't want to be completely impulsive to where we just wilding out and being loud and ratchet and ghetto at every opportunity and easily offended by every little thing. As I was telling my godsons earlier, emotions are excellent employees but terrible bosses. Your emotions are there to let you know. They're kind of like a temperature gauge to kind of let you know if things are going well, or if there's something amiss. They're there for that reason.
When I was younger, if you made me cry, I'm gonna fight you. That's how. No, I'm serious. No, when I was younger, it was don't cry. But if I did cry, okay, you about to go down.
Now, see,
whatever you did to make me cry. Oh, yeah, you going down.
Yeah, when I was young, the only time I ever cried was when I was angry or frustrated. I actually didn't cry because I was sad or empathetic or compassionate. I would cry when I was mad or so completely frustrated. Like I can remember many times trying to do some math homework, and I'd just be sitting there crying at the table with this math problem I could not solve, and I was so frustrated. But it's that pressing against the knowledge that caused me to become great at math. And anyway, that's beside the point. The point, though, is that tears are a pressure valve. They help to keep you healthy so that you don't have strokes and heart attacks and stress-related illness, and then weight you can't get rid of because it's stress-related weight, and habits you can't get rid of because you're trying to self-medicate when really you just need a good cry.
And when and if you have a good cry, maybe you'll stop eating so much food. You ever thought about that? Because there's people also, when they're stressed and they're in all those different types of things, they eat. They eat themselves literally to death because they don't have a valve. If you had a valve and just cry, then you wouldn't seek a soothing from food and things of that nature, whoever that's for.
Now that I'm older, I find myself crying when I'm really, really happy, or if it's in empathy for someone else, kind of like what Jesus is doing here. He sees everybody else is crying, and he's thinking about how they're feeling, and he's sympathetic. He's crying in solidarity with them, I guess you could say. I cry a lot more like that. Like when I see a baby being born or something like that, yeah, I'm crying joy tears. When I see other people that are hurting and they're crying, you know, that might make me well up a little bit. But most of my tears are happy tears now, which, thank God. I mean, those are the only tears I really like to cry. But
I know that's right.
So anyway, so here we go with John 11:35. Jesus wept. So in verse 36, the Jews therefore said, see how much affection he had for him? They got it all wrong too. They think he's crying because Lazarus is dead. No, he's crying because they're crying, because he's got compassion for them. He can empathize with how they feel. So some of them said, this is the Jews. Now here they go, popping off at the mouth. John 11:37. Some of them said, couldn't this man who opened the eyes of him who was blind have also kept this man from dying? Like so much doubt. Everybody got so much doubt.
Why are the accusations? Why do you suppose they just... That's an accuser of the brethren.
It's like you can't win.
That's an accuser of the brethren.
Well,
you know, Satan is an accuser of the brethren.
Well, it's terrible. And how many people in your life are like that?
Satan is an accuser of the brethren.
If you're doing good, oh, they think they all that. If you're doing
bad,
bad,
oh, look at them.
Look at them.
You just want some drama all the time.
Some people are just never satisfied. Like some celebrities, Lizzo or Adele or whoever, when they came out, they were a little on the heavy side. And people would get mad at them because, oh, well, you so fat, you this, you that. So then they go and they lose the weight. And now all the fans are like, well, we liked you bigger when you was big.
Was you sick? Are you sick?
Are you on that stuff? It's like sometimes you just can't win with some people. And so this is what the Jews are saying.
Did you do the Ozempic? What you did? They will. They'll tell you that.
Well, see, remember, the Jews in general did not believe that Jesus was the promised Messiah. Now, you have to keep that context in mind. They were looking and waiting for a Messiah, but they rejected Jesus as the Messiah. So, on the one hand, they didn't think he was the Christ anyway. But then on the other hand, well, if you could cause people to open their eyes who was blind, couldn't you have just raised this guy up? It's like, well, what do you want from me? Either you think I'm not the Messiah, or you think I am the Messiah, but either way, why you getting on me either way? So they a mess. All right, so let's continue. Jesus, therefore, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb. Now it was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus said, take away the stone. Now back in those days, they would put the body, remember, they wrapped it up in the grave clothes, kind of like a mummy, and they would put the spices in there to keep the odor down. Well, they didn't bury it 6 feet deep like how we do today. They would put the body in a cave, and then they would put a large stone in front of the cave to serve as a door. So here Jesus is, and he's saying, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he has been dead 4 days. Because remember, they didn't have formaldehyde, they didn't have embalming fluid. She knew, along with everybody else, man, if you open that door, ain't going to be no amount of Febreze that's going to take care of that. He is stinking by now. In the King James, it says, surely by now he stinketh.
Surely he stinketh.
But in this translation, it says, Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he has been dead 4 days. And remember, I told you 4 days was the marker by which Jews said, yeah, he did dead. So Jesus said to her,
they didn't have no air conditioner or anything else.
No, nothing.
It's hot in Africa.
Ooh, hot garbage.
It's hot in Africa.
Hot garbage.
Have you ever seen the temperatures in Africa?
Africa and the Middle East, all of it. It's hot.
Have you ever seen the temperature in Africa where they were?
It's hot.
Judea, listen, it's like 124, 125. We ain't really experienced no real heat.
You done left a dead human body decomposing like hot trash in 100+ weather.
Not the hot trash.
So Jesus said to her in John 11:40, didn't I tell you that if you believed, you would see God's glory? He still has to remind them, I'm still trying to tell y'all that I'm the Messiah. I'm the Christ. I'm the one y'all been waiting for.
I'm the resurrection, he said.
So they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was lying. Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you listened to me. I know that you always listen to me. But because of the multitude that stands around, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me. I totally didn't read that right.
Now the other translation said, you heareth me.
Yeah, I know that you always listen to me, but because of the multitude that's standing around here, I said this out loud so that they may believe that you sent me. When he said this, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. He who was dead came out, bound hand and foot with wrappings, and his face was wrapped around with a cloth. Jesus said to them, free him and let him go. Therefore, many of the Jews who came to Mary and saw what Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went away to the Pharisees and told them the things which Jesus had done. The chief priests, therefore, and the Pharisees gathered a council and said, what are we doing? For this man does many signs. If we leave him alone like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation. So notice, Jesus literally just raised this man from the dead.
And they just scandal.
And they are more concerned about he gonna mess up our religion. He gonna mess up the money. He gonna mess it up because everyone's gonna believe on him and they not gonna follow us anymore.
That's why he overturned the money changers.
And the Romans are gonna come and they gonna take away our place and our nation.
That filthy lucre, that money, that is
So never
ridiculous.
mind that Jesus just raised someone from the dead, proving that he is the Christ.
Wow.
They didn't care that he was the Christ. It was messing up the money. And there's so many people in this world right now. Yeah, they know Jesus is he the one. But they don't want to mess up their lifestyle. They don't want to mess up who they're sleeping with. They don't want to mess up their money. They don't want to mess up having to give up that pet sin that they got. They don't want to mess up their social status in their situation. They don't want to mess those things up, even though they know he's the way, the truth, and the life. They don't want to mess up their position, so they reject him. And that's totally different than not believing. Believing but rejecting is different than not knowing at all. So these folks is terrible. But that's where I wanted to go. Here's the part that I wanted to pull out. So Jesus said to them in verse 44, free him and let him go. Let me read that in the King James version, because that's the version I'm familiar with. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus said unto them, loose him and let him go. Now this is where I was headed with the whole decluttering and letting things go. Jesus had just been resurrected from the dead. God showed his glory. Lazarus had a second shot at life. Literally, he has a second chance at life now. He's entering into a new season of life. But they still had to take the grave clothes off of him, not before he was raised, but after he was raised. This is significant because some of us refuse to move forward until something changes. But that's backward. You need to move forward and make the change. And in the process of making change, you need to then say, what will no longer serve me on this new journey? That's the difference, is that Lazarus went from an old season of life to a new season of life. And the first thing that had to happen is he had to declutter. He had to declutter the grave clothes in this instance. But remember, Lazarus is our analogy for that closet that you got to get to, that garage that's been filled up to the top. So it got so much stuff in it, you can't even park your car in it. Maybe it's friends in your contact list that you need to remove that shouldn't be there anymore. Maybe it's a relationship and you've been knowing for months or years that it ain't working and you need to let it go. You need to let it go. Maybe it's like me. I was cleaning out one of the office closets here, and I felt so bad because there were papers in there from 2014. And I said, why I still got papers in here from 2014? A, why are they still in here? B, why have I not addressed them over 10 years? And C, I'm feeling bad about myself that I didn't do it prior to. So this is where I was heading with as far as the emotions that we go through. Sometimes when you're facing, go ahead.
I'm going to tell you, there's a difference in what you were doing. You had all that stuff to keep track.
Right.
Because you did accounting.
Right.
And different things. So I'm not mad at you for that.
Okay.
So if you didn't shred it or you didn't, but you needed to go back to it, because a couple of times we needed to go back through them papers.
Well, yes, there's something that I'm looking for right now. I've been
Right.
slowly working through.
Right. So I'm just
But,
saying, that's, you know.
Recently, I had a family member pass away, and so I was helping to clean out their home once they had passed away. And their daughters, you could see so many emotions that they were going through. On the one hand, obviously they're grieving. They just lost their mother. But also I saw resignation. I saw disappointment. I saw irritation. frustration. I saw overwhelm.
We even see heat flashes. Remember? We even saw heat flashes. Yep.
But I could see them going through all these things. It was like, it was so overwhelming for them to have to make all the decisions. Well, do I keep this? Do I give it away? Do I give it to Goodwill? What do I do with it? Who would want it? Who's going to want it? Like, they were going through so many different emotions, and plus too, they had to deal with all the final arrangements. And so, of course, I had a lot of prayers going on for them and did the best that I could to help. But there are things in your life, maybe let's go back to, maybe it's a closet in your house. Maybe it's your garage that is filled up so high that you can't even get your car parked in there good. Maybe it's old papers and magazines. Maybe it's old clothing that you've been holding on to, thinking that one day you'll fit it again, and it's been sitting there. And it's a psychological weight that you are carrying, because every time you look at it, it's a reminder that you haven't done what you're supposed to do, or you're sad because you didn't do it, or I'll get to it one day. But then all that does is just carry extra weight on your mind. Maybe you feel a sense of comfort that it's there because it reminds you of a happier time, and maybe now you're not happy, but back then when you see that old Jet magazine from 1984, it makes you feel happy about how happy you were in 1984 as compared to right now. Things are tough and you're not feeling so happy. And so there are a lot of emotional reasons why we hang on to things. I encourage you, dig through the deeper emotional reasons why certain things you're holding on to. And if it's because of fear or guilt or disappointment in yourself that you didn't follow through, just begin to take stock of what those feelings are and see if you can get to the bottom of it. Now, if it's something like old papers or magazines or things like that, you can take pictures of those. You could take a digital picture of that thing, and then you can discard the actual paper, because you don't have to fear losing the photograph of the object. Just make sure you back up your photos, of course, and not just only on the cloud. Back them up to a CD or a DVD or a hard drive or something like that. But sometimes we hold on to things because we were happier then and we're not happy now, or we're holding on to things because we're afraid that if I don't have it, when I need it, it won't be there. And we have a scarcity mindset of lack, which actually can be solved with faith. If you believe that God truly does have his eye on the sparrow, like we sing in the song, and that he really can meet all of our needs according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus, and he really does own the cattle on 1,000 hills, then surely you don't need to keep 100 empty bottles and bags, right? We don't need to keep that many things necessarily. Now, if it has a specific function and purpose and plan, that's different. But sometimes we just hold on to things. Like, let me give you an example. How many of you right now got a bag of bags under your sink?
I do. I sure do.
When them grocery bags, and you put the bag, you take the groceries out, and now you got all these plastic bags. You don't know what to do with.
First of all, they're special bags because there's some of the bags, believe it or not, that we have, they don't have holes in them. But the other ones do. So I let the ones that have a hole in them, I let those go.
Yeah, you missing the bigger point, though.
No, I'm not.
Is that sometimes we're afraid that, oh, man, either A, I might need to throw something away and I need a bag, or B, I might not have some garbage bags around when I need to throw away some trash.
That was me.
Or
that was me.
Or so
because I put them in the little waste basket because those really do work.
So it's okay to keep a few, but if you're like how my cabinet was when I moved out of my last house, I had like not just a bag of bags. I had like a garbage bag full of grocery bags. It didn't make no sense. I'm like, wow, yeah. I got all these bags here. So
bag lady.
Okay. So I had to, but it bothered me to throw them away because I felt like I was being wasteful. I felt like, well, as soon as I throw these bags away, magically I'm going to need like 4 bags. It's like it was some irrational thought. And some of that actually came from a feeling of a need to control my circumstances or my environment or my situation. It literally was a feeling of, well, this is something I can control. There's so many things in my life that are out of control, but I can control this.
That's deep, but I can control these bags. Okay.
But I can control these bags.
All
and
right.
and yes, it sounds irrational.
All right.
It sounds irrational when
All
I say
right.
it out loud.
All right.
But emotionally, see, your emotions don't always respond to logic. And so I said, well, I can either throw these bags away, or right now at Goodwill, they will accept your bags if you just feel like you don't want to be wasteful. You don't want them to end up in a landfill. You can take them to Walmart or Goodwill, and they will take all those bags. And then customers that need bags, they can use
Yes.
those bags.
Sure will.
So I began to just really work through all of these items to say, is this item serving me in this new season?
I wish I had thought of that, because I threw all them bags away. I threw them away.
Some people hold on to cans. Well, I'm going to go take these cans to the recycling.
I know. I got some right now. I
Well, I
am
ain't
going to
tryna-
make it there. I'm going to make it there.
I ain't
I
tryna-
got bottles and cans.
I ain't trying to air you out. That actually wasn't about you.
I aired myself out.
That actually wasn't about you, but
I'm gonna
sometimes
do it.
don't we do that? Well, I'm gonna take these cans and I'm gonna get 5 cents per can for the aluminum.
That's
now,
what it said.
You know you are not about to go down there and take them cans down there. You sitting here with bags and bags full of cans.
I'm going to do it.
Well, that's just it. If you're going to do it, then you should set a date and time and then stick to that.
Yeah.
But if those same cans have been sitting there for 3 years.
No, nothing like that. Oh, my goodness, no.
Not you. I'm saying in general.
Yeah, and hopefully you rinse them out when you got the cans, so all the sugar won't attract ants and things of that nature.
If you're
Farming.
really going to do it, then set a time and a date and then do it. But if you're not seriously going to do it, or if it's not that big of a priority to you, let it go. Just throw it out in the trash. And you will find, as you begin going through this process of working through the emotions that are holding you back, which held you in the clutter to begin with, as you begin to get things out, you will see how much lighter you feel emotionally. Because every time you walk past that room and you see all that stuff in that room, wherever it is, you feel a certain way. You feel guilty you haven't dealt with it. You feel overwhelmed that you need to deal with it. You feel regretful about how bad it got and why it has been so bad for so long. And so you have all of these emotions, along with there's things in there that I just can't bear to part with, either because of fear, I need something to control, or it's a part of my past that I don't want to let go. Whatever it is, you've got all of those things, and it's important to be like Lazarus. Jesus wants to raise you or take you into a new season of faith, a new season in your life. And the first thing that has to happen in order to go into the new season is just like Lazarus. You got to take the grave clothes off. Those grave clothes were no longer useful to his new season. Does that make sense?
Come on.
He didn't want to walk around with the grave clothes on because they would have smelled like a decomposing body, for one. For two, it would have looked terrible to walk around looking like a mummy and you got stuff all over your body and your face. And number three, it's not going to serve him going into his new season of life. And it's the same thing with you. That room that needs to be tended to, tend to it. If you got a treadmill in there and it's just turned into basically a laundry rack, give it to Goodwill. Decide on a Saturday you're just going to rent a U-Haul for $20 and you're just going to drive that thing to Goodwill, and you're going to just give it to Goodwill.
Or they can have a garage sale.
Or a garage sale, or find or put it on Facebook Marketplace, list it for free,
Say you gotta come and get it.
Come and get it, and you can have it. And you will find that once those things start moving out, those grave clothes start coming off, that clutter starts getting reduced, you will start finding that, man, I can literally, sometimes literally breathe better, but psychologically I can breathe better. Mentally, I feel better. I realized that some of the stuff that I gave away, I didn't miss it once it was gone. And it's like, why did you hold on to that for so long? You just kept moving it from one side of the room to the other. Why did you keep holding on to that? And finally, I just ripped off the Band-Aid and said, just let it go. And took it out, and it's like I don't even miss it anymore, and I feel so much better coming into the room where I don't have that anymore.
Don't be a hoarder. Don't be a hoarder.
So, and this is actually not even about hoarding, but perhaps you may have.
I got a point. I got a point.
Well, but maybe your emotional attachments are severe enough that you're kind of in that territory. It's okay to recruit some help, because remember, in this passage, Jesus told them to go and help Lazarus to take the grave clothes off. He didn't say, Lazarus, rise up, now take your grave clothes off. No. Let's look at the passage.
Actually, if
he said
he could have went and took them off him if he wanted to.
He could have. But he said here, just recapping this verse again, John 11:43. And when he had thus spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a cloth or a napkin. Jesus said unto them, notice he didn't say it to Lazarus, he said it to the people around Lazarus, loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Jesus did believed on him. So it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to spend some money on Mary Maids. If you need some help cleaning your house, it's okay to get a little help. If you need to call Wash World, for example, they have pick up and drop off laundry. Maybe you got so many clothes that you've been meaning to wash. That was one of my things. Is I just this weekend went and took all my clothes because they had been sitting there dirty so long that I was recycling the same few. I just washed the same few clothes and just keep putting the same ones back on. I said, why are you doing that when you could just go to the laundromat, take $20 and just go knock that thing out? Well, they even have it now where you can drop off your laundry and they will do the laundry for you, and then you just pick it up clean. So
but
maybe,
now you're gonna pay too.
So maybe your clutter is you got clothes everywhere.
Yeah.
First thing is
but
just
at least it's done.
Consolidate them and either go and take them to the laundromat, or just you could hire someone to pick them up and wash them for you, bring them back. Or you could give all those clothes away. Just go straight to Goodwill, dump them all in the clothing bin thing that they got, and then walk into Walmart with about $20, $30, $40 and just buy you a full new set of clothes. Did you know you can do that?
Absolutely.
I do it all the time. As a matter of fact, it's so crazy that I had so many clothes that needed to be washed that I went to Goodwill first. I bought two clothes I bought a shirt, 2 shirts, and a pair of pants on sale. I paid $3.99 for this shirt that I'm wearing right now. If you're looking at this on the camera, not lying, I paid $3.99 for this shirt because it was on sale. It's cute if you can't see. It's got Nebraska on it, and it's pink, purple. So I'm looking cute today. But I bought this shirt. I bought the pants that I have on. I bought another shirt, and when I went to the laundromat, I went into the bathroom before I started, and I put these clothes on and took the clothes off that I was wearing so that they could be washed. And I know some of y'all is like, oh, you put on clothes from the Goodwill? I ain't worried about that because I knew I wasn't going to have them on that long. So I put them on, went ahead, did my washing, came back, and then I was able to wear my clean clothes, and it was all good. And I have some cute new clothes.
Hey, Goodwill has some great clothes.
And this is not an ad for Goodwill. I mean, it could be Thrift World, it could be Salvation Army, any of them.
Have good clothes.
The whole idea, though, is that if it's something that you just cannot part with because it has an emotional reason, if it's something that is like a keepsake or an heirloom, that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to things that you could get rid of it. Like, do you really need 36 wine glasses? Do you really need those magazines from 2018 that you haven't read yet?
Are you going to have that many people over for the party, or
Do you really need 4 bundt cake pans? Do you really need? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you have multiples of something, just keep the best one and give the other ones away. Or here's another one I'm really bad at. I have appliances that are broken. Something needs to be fixed on it. It's missing a screw, or the cap came off, or something like that. And I keep holding on to it, saying, yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that. And it just be sitting there and sitting there. Stuff that missing a wheel, whatever. Some of that stuff, as I got done with decluttering, I discovered that it only took like 5 minutes, and then I just fixed the thing. And I was like, man, I could have done this years ago. Why wait so long? But you have to make movement. And if you need help, just like Lazarus needed help taking off the grave clothes, it's okay to recruit your friends, your family, pay a teenager a few bucks, say, hey, come over and help me sort this stuff out. If it's a lot of things and you just really just need to just knock it all out, rent a dumpster. They got them big old dumpsters. They will put it right in your driveway, and you can just get rid of all that stuff, throw it right in the dumpster, and they will then pick up that dumpster and take it away. You got appliances that you don't need anymore, go on Craigslist. There's plenty of people that will pick it up for free
Sure
because
will.
they want the metal.
They sure
So
will.
I just encourage you.
Because metal is money.
We have so many things that are weighing us down in this world. And the more we can lay aside, the scripture says, lay aside every weight that so easily besets us. And I'll close with that verse right there. Laying aside every weight that so easily I can't spell. Let me pull that up. Laying aside every weight that so easily besets us. I believe that's Hebrews.
That'd be a great word to look up as well.
Yep, it's Hebrews chapter 12. And we're going to end up with this one right here. Chapter 12, verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we are also surrounded about with such a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set in front of us, looking unto Jesus, who is the beginning and the ending, or the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. So lay aside every weight. Take a little bit of action to at least get started with laying aside those things that are holding you back, whether it's material possessions that need to be
Can you
decluttered,
look up that word weight?
whether it's material possessions that need to be divested of or reduced, whether it is relationships that are no longer serving you, whether it is a sin issue that has been dogging you forever. That word weight in Greek is onkos, probably from the same root word as like a mass, like bending or bulging by its load, or a burden or a hindrance, something that is weighing you down because it is so heavy. Whether it's a sin issue that you need to just finally just cut that thing and say, I'm going to do the work on this. Not because I believe I'm going to be sinless, but I do want to sin less, and I'm going to ask the Holy Spirit to help me to bear fruit so that I can crucify the flesh in this area, so that this weight and this sin doesn't keep holding me up and holding me back from what God is really trying to do in my life. So let's lay aside every weight. Let's declutter our lives. If we need help, just like Lazarus, ask for help if you need help. If it's too overwhelming to do on your own, ask for help. If you need boxes, Aldi's got free boxes all day. And most stores actually have free boxes if you just go ask. Of course, the bags, we talked about the bags. But if you need help, ask for help. There's plenty of people who will help, and either just for free because of relationship, or
if you have
or
money,
for pay.
get married maids, like you said.
Married maids.
Yeah.
You can
If no one to help you, or you're too ashamed.
You could post something if you're here in Omaha on Facebook. You could post in a group. There's a Facebook group called Odd Jobs Omaha. Odd Jobs Omaha. And you could post in there, hey, I got $20 if you'll come and help me to clean up this closet. And there'll be somebody that will help. Now, obviously, don't have a stranger come in your house without having someone there to help you out. But
make sure you have your pew with you just in case.
But the point about it is that you can get help if you need help.
Yes.
And you don't have to do it alone. You can recruit your family members. You can even pay for help. But it can be done. But let's lay aside those things that have been holding us back so that we can really live this life to the glory of God, to the best of our ability, with nothing holding us back from his calling and his purpose for us. Amen.
Yes.
So that's all I got for this week. I love you this
right.
week. Make sure you tell somebody about this show, about this broadcast. Follow us on all of our socials at Gospel Music Omaha, at Mind His Business, at Jackie Gines, JACQUIEGINES, at The Barber Beast, at One LuvLuv. I think we'll probably get you around that one. But just follow us wherever you can find us, and tell somebody about the radio station, 100.3 FM. If you are in an area where your reception is spotty, listen to it on the website, GospelMusicOmaha.com. There's a big button up there at the top and on the menu that says Listen Now, and you can hear the radio station 24/7, no matter where you are in the world. And with that, this is Lady J signing off for this week.
And this is LuvLuv.
We'll talk to you next time.
Ciao.